You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, presented by the only one media group. This is the people's choice for quality interviews, celebrities and special guests. Hosted by Demetrius Dini Reynolds. Call in to join the mix at 701-801-9813. For the complete archive of episodes, visit onlyonemediagroup.com and be sure to like us on Facebook at Vigilantes Radio. We welcome all. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds. Enjoy the show.
Yo! Welcome to another awesome episode of Vigilantes Radio, guys. We have a very special guest this afternoon. This is actually a pre-recorded episode, so don't worry. We have fun in our pre-recorded episodes as well. So you definitely, if you're checking out this interview later on, you definitely want to listen through to the end because there will be some jewels for you. I can guarantee it, So yeah. So as always, I give a little tidbit, in the beginning. So here it is. Life's energy is what you make it. Anyone who knows the basis of sailing can maneuver their boat to the desired destination regardless of the wind direction. The ability to adjust the sails appropriately and the amount of wind are far greater importance than the actual wind's direction. Winners and achievers in life know how to use all of life's energy, the tailwinds and the headwinds, to move ahead towards a goal or achievement. Fear gives us that heightened sense of awareness necessary for taking on difficult situations. Challenges gives us superb opportunities for learning and growing. Setbacks and obstacles strengthen our resolve and determination. That is, if we decide to take them that way. You can't control the wind, my friends, but you can control how to set your sails. And you can't control what life hands you, but you have complete control on what you do with it. Fear, setbacks, obstacles, and challenges can easily blow you off course, or they can supply the energy to propel you ahead. That all depends on you. Take that from me, Dini Mussolini. That is my word, and word is bond.
You're live in the mix. Let's get this started.
Yo, hello, and welcome to another awesome episode of Inside the Music, or the book, or film, or even the business, where we dive into the minds of the people who create these marvelous things. It feels so good to be back with you guys once again. Big ups to my folks who are indigos, crystalline, or the starseeds, for my Vigilantes audience family, for my hooligans, and shout out to my people who are vegetarian or vegans. If you're in the struggle like me, we are averaging over 37,000 live listeners, and we've been at this for 5 solid years. I appreciate to all you guys who've been rocking with the kid on this journey, and we are still evolving, baby. It is all because of you, most definitely. We are the people who have dedicated their lives to music, spirituality, business, literature, art, films, and research in every aspect. And we want to allow you an opportunity to tell your story. Man, we've had celebrities on our show, from Grammy Award-winning artists, nominees, to actors, comedians, CEOs, technology revolutionaries, visual artists, from authors to professors, and vampires. Or people who think they're vampires. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Come on our show and talk to me. So check it out to book your interview or to appear on my other show called Skeptics. Email me at vradio@onlyonemediagroup.com, and that's V as in Victor. We hope to get the stories behind these unique people and give them a chance to tell their truth to us and the universe. That is Vigilantes Radio sole purpose. You know the number to dial, 7 701-801-9813. Share that number with your buddy right now and tell them to tune in to connect with us or our guests, or you can hop in the mix directly from our website, which is onlyonemediagroup.com. Right from the home page, you can slap that go live button and you'll be here live in the mix and in the chat room with all of us. So feel free to shoot over some questions to ask our guests while they are here, but only as time permits. Sometimes my guests and I talk entirely too much. And as always, all episodes are available for free download, and you can grab them from either Spreaker.com/only one media group, iTunes, Player.fm, YouTube, any app from the Google Play or iTunes Store, or over at our website. And that goes for every single episode that we've ever aired.
Well, this afternoon's interview is the Iboga Wellness-Center interview. And again, I'm your host, Dini. So armed with a lot of qualifications in Iboga studies, practices, and a positive attitude projected both through their life and work, the staff over at the Iboga Wellness Center continues to stay the course as healers, as teachers, and speakers through some immense adversity. There have been a great many people that would not be able to continue on in life had it not been for the Iboga Wellness Center. So that is definitely a true testament to their willpower, their understanding, and positive vibe that they represent in their works and in their education. So make sure you follow the links, guys, in the description of this episode for more information to support them and view the useful resources that I believe we all need to dive deep into. So with that, let's welcome them to our show. Hey, man, what's going on?
Hey, how are you, Dini? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. So, for our audience, let everyone know who you are.
Yeah, so my name's Levi-Parker. I'm an Iboga provider at Iboga Wellness-Center, and we're located in Costa Rica in the Guanacaste province, which is in the northwest region. And yeah, it's a really beautiful area with a lot of beautiful people, great beaches, and it's a very grounded place. The Costa Rican people are very pleasant to be around. I know a lot of times in different, happiest countries on earth, Costa Rica is number one or right around number one. So definitely a lot of positive energy in this area. And yeah, Iboga Wellness is located on a beautiful ranch, piece of property about 10 minutes away from the ocean. We used to be a little closer near the beach, but found a perfect property where we could have a bit more privacy and lots of trees and animals and monkeys and fruit trees. So yeah, it's a really great spot.
Sounds like paradise.
It is. It's pretty beautiful. We're in the middle of the rainy season right now. It's been kind of a light rainy season, but yeah, everything's really, really lush right now.
Nice. So, Levi, hi, man, and welcome to our show. So let's start at the tippy top. Who or what is Iboga Wellness Center?
Yeah, so maybe to start, I'll go into that, maybe talk a little bit about Iboga. Iboga is a plant that grows in West Central Africa. So it grows in mostly Gabon, but also Cameroon and the Republic of the Congo. And it's a little tree, like a little shrub, and it produces little fruits that are similar to an apple. And the people there, the original people that discovered Iboga, were actually the pygmies, kind of the shorter forest-dwelling people. And they discovered that the roots, actually the root bark of the Iboga plant, has some properties for healing, and they kept that secret to themselves for quite a while and developed a tradition around the plant. And at its core, Iboga is really a teacher plant and a tool. And so they discovered through working with the plant that they were able to access the knowledge within themselves about how to live a happy, purposeful life, which is something, that's universal among all humans. and they developed a tradition basically around how to live life, how, even for, forest-dwelling people, they still want to live a happy, fulfilling life, and they're still faced with decisions, emotions, the same questions that we all have, where do we come from, why are we here, what's my purpose? And they've developed a tradition around that, which is called the bwitti tradition, BWITI, and that tradition revolves around how to live life and using the Iboga medicine in order to gain guidance on how to do that. So they've been doing that for several thousand years, most likely. According to science, they're some of the oldest people on Earth, and so who knows how long they've been working with Iboga. And eventually they spread that knowledge to some of the different people in the Gabon area, Congo and Cameroon, and shared, shared their knowledge of Iboga and the properties that it has and what a great tool it is, and that spread out from there. And in Gabon, Iboga is the national treasure of the country, and bwitti is very viewed very favorably there, even among other religious groups, such as Christians and Muslims, which there's quite a few of in Gabon. From being there myself, they all really like bwitti, and some of the bwitti groups do integrate different Christian elements into the tradition as well. And so here at Iboga Wellness Center, we all learned from a 10th generation bwitti shaman named Mogenda Michaela, and he's actually in Gabon now. He had a center here before in Costa Rica, and we all met and trained with him in order to learn how to work with the plant in a traditional way. And typically it involves several years of training to do that. And so at the Wellness Center, we've, through our training with the medicine and a lot of our own self and inner work, we developed a program on how to give people a traditional experience with the Iboga medicine, while knowing that our clients mostly come from the West. And so we get a lot of people from United States, Canada, Europe, as far as away. We've had some people, which is kind of funny, we've had a guy come from Kenya before, even though the medicine is there in his own in Africa, Pakistan, Mongolia, so Australia. People from all over the world come here to experience the medicine and work on themselves.
Mm-hmm. So even though, like you mentioned, the guy from Kenya and the medicine is there in his country, it's all about the experience that the Iboga Wellness Center creates, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That draws people in.
Yeah. It's we definitely work the tradition into our program. It's a very large part of what we do here, but people also want to stay in a room with an air conditioner and that has lights, whereas if you go and get initiated, in the jungles of Gabon, a lot of times that's not there. You're very, very, let's say they're just not luxurious accommodations in the village, but very, very powerful at the same time. And we recommend that people, before thinking of going to Gabon and having a full initiation or something like that, coming here and experiencing the medicine and getting an idea of what it's about, and they can really appreciate it a lot more if they then decide to go to Africa and experience the medicine. And we actually have all of our staff and about 10 other people. We're actually going to Gabon this year at the end of November for 2 weeks, and we're actually going to some point during that time we're going to go out and actually meet the pygmies and stay for a night or two with them.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Oh yeah, sounds like it. So, Levi, how new is this discovery?
Yeah, nobody really knows exactly when Iboga was discovered. You know, there's a couple legends around how it was discovered. You know, we know that some animals like to eat it as well. Elephants, in particular, like to eat the plant. Also, porcupines have been found to eat it. So it's a very ancient tradition. Nobody really knows because in the tradition, it's always all the knowledge is passed down orally, and they don't write it down. So it's very difficult to know exactly how old, but you know, it really feels like many thousands of years old is from what I've experienced. It's just the knowledge that's shared, you know, are just different universal truths that are found in many different traditions. But the way it's been put together into a cohesive package for us to take with us is really, really cool. And so that, you know, the way that's been done just feels really, really old.
Yeah. Okay. So there are elephants and other wildlife walking around having experiences, and we didn't even know about it. They're having a time of their lives. Yeah.
Actually, if you look up like elephant Iboga on YouTube, you'll find one on there, kind of dancing around and like play fighting with himself. But yeah, they're definitely known to search out Iboga and eat it. And they're also one of the propagators of the plant as well. You know, they eat the fruit and travel around and through their dung, drop the seeds in different places.
The elephant is important. Of course they are. But
yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
A lot of responsibility there. All right, Levi. What is the difference between Iboga and Allegheny?
Yeah, so Iboga, or I should say Iboga, has I think 12 or 13 alkaloids that are present in it. And at some point, I believe, you know, in the 30s or 40s, a chemist started trying to extract different alkaloids, and the one that they extracted was ibogaine, and they later, so that's one alkaloid that's present in the Iboga plant, and what they found is that's really useful for people that are detoxing off of hard drugs. And so ibogaine is typically used in a clinical setting. There's quite a few places in Mexico, Canada, different spots in Europe that are specifically tailored for people looking to get off of drugs. And so Iboga or ibogaine is pretty much the only thing known on Earth that can eliminate the physical withdrawals of that. You know, there's a big opiate problem, and one of the reasons people have a really hard time getting clean is just to get off of it is grueling. Typically, people won't sleep for, 4 to 6 nights, and they're there shaking for 24 hours a day and vomiting. And so you give them the Iboga or ibogaine, and it within a half hour, 40 minutes, they stop feeling 80 to 90% of those physical symptoms. And so ibogaine is typically used in a clinical environment, administered by doctors, and you're there, in some sort of medical facility, hooked up to an IV and a blood pressure machine. So it's a totally different experience than what we do here. Ours is a shamanic spiritual retreat. We do have a doctor check people just to be careful, but when used in the proper manner, Iboga or ibogaine is very safe as long as people don't have heart problems or certain sorts of liver problems. And the ibogaine's used, I think it's not as tough on the body for the addicts, because typically addicts have really abused themselves for a long time, so they're really not in physically good shape. So with the Ibogaine, they're able to recover a little bit quicker physically. And I think also the reason people use that is they can really get the dosage exact on how much they're going to give people. But one thing we find a problem with that, and that's kind of the best method they have for deciding the dose size for people, is based on their body weight. So they'll do a certain amount of milligrams per kilogram of body weight. But we know from working with the medicine that the size of the person has nothing to do with how much of the medicine they should be taking. Some people are very sensitive to it. Others have a higher tolerance than others. And so whenever we administer Iboga, we do it by observation and different techniques we can have people do to understand where they're at in the experience and know how much medicine to give them. And that's a big part of being an Iboga provider, is learning how to give people the proper amount of medicine. You want them to go deep and come back quickly. Right. And if we just went by body weight, there would be some people it would just be way too much for, and others not enough for.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. And both Iboga and Ibogaine are not allowed in the U.S. of A., right?
Yeah, unfortunately, right now that is the case. I know there's a couple places, Vermont and also in Maryland, that they're looking at passing some legislature in order to open up using Ibogaine in order to help addicts. Really big opiate problems in those two states. So I know there's some work being done on that front. But in most other places, besides a couple European countries, Iboga is not illegal. So in Canada, it's not illegal. Mexico, Costa Rica, most other places it's not. And it kind of got lumped together with other just psychedelics in the 60s, where they took every visionary medicine that was known and basically made it Schedule 1 in the U.S., where it says obviously no medicinal benefits at all, which is kind of funny, because it's probably, I'm sure it's the most effective way to stop people with different addictions, and that doesn't just include drug addictions. That could be anything from overeating to gambling addictions or sex addictions. Iboga helps with all types of addictions. It's really powerful addiction interrupter.
Okay. I'm going to give you a very fun hypothetical. So suppose you're the educational ambassador for Costa Rica or even the world one day, and there's some sort of addiction or a mental distress program put in place that's going to beam out through the best practices that best represents the Iboga Wellness Center at its best. And you've been chosen, of course, so it's all up to you to save us all. What 3 programs or practices would you focus on the most to help mankind, and that you feel like it truly defines the courses that you're pushing out now through the Iboga Wellness Center?
Yeah, well, that would be a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
But what we find is, kind of the prerequisite for coming here is you have to want to better yourself. So, Iboga is not going to change your will. People have to want to better themselves in some way. So as long as they have that, then they're on the right path. If they don't care or have no drive to better their own life, there's really nothing out there that can help them. So that's the first part. And then once they know they would want to better themselves, then of course, we would want them to come here or go to them and have them take the medicine if they're open to it, and allow them to learn about themselves. Like I mentioned, at the heart of Iboga, it's really a tool to heal on all three levels: the body, the mind, and the spirit. And we really need all three of those things to be healthy and in tune in order to live a happy, fulfilled life. So with that, the Iboga and them wanting to help themselves, as long as they're what Iboga teaches them, because what Iboga will do is it'll lay a blueprint out for what you need to do in your life, what needs to happen, what changes need to happen. And as long as you're going to do your part, then things guaranteed will get better. And it's not to say that it's some miracle and you don't have to do your part, and just taking this magic pill is going to make it happen. Not at all. It's going to teach you about yourself, but then we still have to do our part. Nobody else can do that for us. It'll teach us that we have to be responsible for our own lives. And what's really unique about Iboga is there's different kind of ways that the message is received, but it all teaches us the same things. And it teaches us that, our own life is a gift, and that, we have to be responsible for that life, and nothing will ever go above our own life, because without our life, there is nothing there. And, you can't even have death without life, so that's always going to come first. And we have to be responsible for ourselves in this life. Now that we're adults, when we were kids, we had to lean on our parents, and somebody had to take care of us because we couldn't do it for ourselves. But now that we're adults, we don't have somebody to follow us around and take care of us. And so it really teaches self-responsibility for ourselves. And it also helps, a lot with getting through different traumas. Going through life, we all go through the human experience, and things happen. Especially in our childhood, things happen that are out of our control. And so a lot of the things that we carry around as adults happen in our childhood. They could also happen in adulthood, but a lot of these a lot of things that really have defined our personality growing up happen early in our adolescence or as a young child. And so Iboga is really helpful for going back into those places and really just seeing the truth for what it is from an objective perspective, and not getting emotionally involved in it, but just seeing it for what it is and the truth. And that's very powerful, to see it for what it is, and to allow ourselves, and just really allow ourselves to, if we need to forgive ourselves or forgive someone else. And when I say forgive someone else, that doesn't mean like something unjust doing by forgiving them. It's really forgiving ourselves, because we don't want to be the one that carries around that weight anymore. Even if we were hurt and it wasn't our responsibility, we still have to let that go, because we don't want to carry around that weight or that pain or whatever happened for the rest of our lives. We want to let that come and go. So, and Iboga also teaches us, in the Bwitti tradition, we know that the two most important things in life are to know who we are and what we want. And a lot of times, going through life and the media and parental influences or whatever it may be, we never get the chance to really look at who we are. And so Iboga really shows us who we are, and once we know who we are, it makes it a whole lot easier to understand what we want for ourselves, because we have to know what we want for ourselves. Otherwise, we're just kind of going through life without any direction. So it'll really show us what we do want and what's our purpose in this life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, people, if I was that educational ambassador, even sharing the tradition without having the medicine can be powerful for people. Just the medicine really accelerates the inner knowledge that people have of themselves. A lot of people describe Iboga as 10 years of psychotherapy in one night. And actually, when you come to Iboga Wellness-Center, we don't just do one ceremony of taking the medicine. We want people to really lock in whatever it is that they need. So we do 2 within a week's time, 2 ceremonies.
So Levi, when it comes to the personal matters and experience, how hard is it to share those moments with complete strangers?
Yeah, that's one of the things I had to work through with Iboga is really, not wanting to share my feelings and, not share my experiences. And so, now I know that the past is the past, and there's nothing I or anybody else or anything can do to ever change that. And I've come to accept that and use it as a learning experience. And I can't change what's happened in the past, but I can decide how I'm going to perceive that and how I'm going to take that in and use it going forward. So we're really an open book here at the center. We all know that we're all human. We all make mistakes, and through our steps here, one of us has experienced something similar to almost any client that's come through. I can only think of one example of a person that came through that we didn't have an experience with, and this was a guy that came from Somalia, and he was actually one of the child soldiers there, where they basically kidnapped him, and I think he was 5 years old, and brought him up to be basically a hitman through that, and had a very, very deep story. Other than him, we've all had our own experiences with drug abuse, or being molested as a child, or having some sort of trauma happening. So we know it's really important to open up about our own stories and let people know that we've been through something similar, and we're not here to judge other people for their experiences. We never do that. So it's gotten a lot easier over time, and we're just really an open book here, and encourage people to open up. The more they can open up, we allow them to decide how much they want to open up, but the more they can open up makes it very helpful, because then we can know where they're coming from and the best way to help support them in their experience. Because really the medicine, Iboga, does the heavy lifting here. Mm-hmm. We're here to guide them and help create an environment where they feel safe, and coach them through their experience to just really get the most out of it. And so, sharing our story, and really opening up to them and making them feel comfortable is a big part of it. But it wasn't always that way for me, that's for sure.
Wow. So did Iboga help you overcome that, or the Wellness Center help you overcome that, or both?
Definitely started with Iboga, and then once, being around it for quite a few years. So I had my first Iboga experience 10 years ago to stop doing opiates. Through my 20s, I was pretty bad, and then I kind of got better on my own, but could never fully get away. I was a functioning addict. And so once I started training, a lot of the training is really working on yourself, because Iboga forces you to take a really deep look at yourself. So during the training, our teacher would have us take just little bits, not like a ceremonial amount, but just little bits of Iboga every day for a couple weeks. And while you're doing that, you're just really, really conscious of your own mind and how it works. And so it's a process to doing that. Definitely after even my first experience with Iboga, that certainly opened up a lot. But there was still a lot of work to be done before I could honestly help other people, and that took several years. But it was definitely a combination of being here at the Iboga Wellness Center too, and learning from our teacher and different mentors through the years. The combination of that is really powerful. And we actually have a girl coming down here soon that's had some drug problems. And she's actually coming, her family she's young, she's 22 years old, and her family really wants her to get an intensive healing. And she's going to actually stay with us for a full 2 months and go to Gabon, Africa with us here in November.
Nice. Okay. I'm totally sensing that you're trying to communicate an overall message to all of us. What do you have to say through your voice and knowledge on addictions as a healer, teacher, coach, and the most important to me as an educator? What messages are you putting out there into the universe?
Yeah, the overall message, and really where the bwitti tradition starts and what Iboga teaches us first, and I mentioned it earlier, is that our life is a gift and that nothing will ever go above it, and we need to embrace that gift. We have this time here on earth, and we're here to enjoy it and be here. And a lot of the times what gets in the way of that is our own mind. And so a lot of working with Iboga is learning how to manage the mind. We go to school all these years learning about math, science, economics, whatever it may be, but we never go to a class learning to manage our own mind and thus our own decisions we make. And so learning to manage thoughts, learning to be present enough to see those thoughts come in and decide if those are things that you need to learn from more, or if it's just a thought from an overactive mind, because our mind is the most powerful tool in nature, and it'll keep firing. And so we need to learn how to manage our thoughts and learn to really sit with the things that we need to learn from and we need to digest. But a lot of our thoughts are just repetitive, clutter that our mind is used to doing, because for a lot of us, our mind is good at thinking negative thoughts or anxiety-producing thoughts, because that's what it's done a lot of. So it's a matter of training it to quiet down, and when it does produce a thought, learning to think positive thoughts and think about what you want for yourself and think about what you're grateful for, who you love, and realizing that our mind is not who we are. It's a part of us, just like my legs a part of me. My fingers, they're a part of me, but they're not who I am completely. The mind is a big part of who I am, but it's not all of me. So understanding that it's a tool and learning that we need to train that tool and use it whenever it's needed. And the big thing with the mind is that, depending on what we're thinking, it's going to send a vibration in our body and give us a feeling. And if we're having a lot of negative or anxiety producing thoughts, then we're just not going to feel good physically. So learning to manage that mind will help us feel good. And the reason it's really necessary to think positive thoughts and send those positive vibrations in our body is because when we're thinking negative thoughts and sending negative things through our body, we're not going to make good decisions for ourselves, and and we just won't feel good. So that's a really big piece of working with Iboga here at the Wellness Center. Iboga will bring you, like the day after taking the medicine, after the ceremony, there's a point that comes where your mind becomes very, very quiet and you're very, very present. A lot of people experience not having any thoughts at all for several minutes, which, you know, in some other traditions or meditation, if you can get to a state where you're not thinking for 5 minutes, that's, you know, pretty amazing. And so with one night of Iboga, a lot of people experience that effect of not having any thoughts and being completely present. And what happens when you're present is you'll be able to see your thoughts coming in from the outside before they get to you. By becoming present, you'll see that thought coming. And when you see that thought coming, you can realize that, you know, you're not actually your mind, but you're the person observing your mind. And that's a really powerful thing to experience that. And we know in the tradition that the only way to truly learn something and not just understand it intellectually is to experience it.
Levi, why would someone want to work with Iboga?
So people come for all kinds of different things, from overcoming an addiction, eating disorders. And on that, I'll mention something funny. It's funny, the groups that come through, they all come through for a reason. And one time we had a group here of 7 people, and all of them had some sort of eating disorder. So yeah, people come through for addiction, eating disorders, like I mentioned, not just drug addiction, but different, you know, all kinds of different addictions. And there's also a pretty big group of people, maybe 20-30% of people that, you know, are entrepreneurs or pretty successful in life, have good jobs, and just are looking for some direction in their life. Maybe they're, maybe they have some anxiety problems or some mild depression that they want to work through. So a lot of people come here looking for guidance just on how to better their life. We all want to better our life to some degree. And a lot of people for anxiety or depression. What else? We've had several soldiers come through that have had PTSD. Quite a few people from different sexual trauma coming through, which Iboga is just amazing on working with that. It's such a horrible thing that can weigh somebody down if they don't take action on it, and Iboga is really good aid with that. Other people want to heal wounds with parental relationships they've had, and say maybe their parents have passed. It's really powerful for that. I'd say that's a pretty good overview. It works for a whole lot of things, physically. People come in with kind of different like arthritic things. It helps a lot with. A lot of people report improved eyesight. I don't want to say that this is something you should come for a major disease, although there is a lot of studies happening for Iboga helping with Parkinson's and MS and things like that. But we all approach it from a shamanic perspective. People really come in for a whole lot of different things, and it works for a whole lot of different things. I would say, people shouldn't come to try and heal cancer or, serious diseases like that. But if it's anything with the mind or any sort of addiction or traumas, I would have to say Iboga is the best solution I've ever found for that.
How, in your opinion, how is Iboga used to treat addiction?
Yeah, so, we approach everything from a spiritual perspective, but on a scientific perspective, on how I understand it, like especially for, say, in the case of opiate addiction, Iboga actually goes into the brain and cleans out the opiate receptors, strips them of all opiates, and the Iboga gets in there and replaces it so that they have a sense of well-being, and it keeps them from craving whatever drug they were doing. It also starts repairing the brain in different ways. Drugs really wreak havoc on a brain, and people feel fuzzy and not themselves for several months afterwards. So, physically it just flushes everything out of their system and kind of gives them a clean slate. So after Iboga, people build up a tolerance while doing drugs, but then after they take Iboga and have been here a week, their tolerance will go back down similar or close to as if they've never actually had drugs.
And what is it like to be an Iboga provider?
Oh yeah, it's the best work, and I'm just super humbled to be a part of it and be able to share this medicine with people. It's just a really great honor to have people come here and experience this medicine with us, and don't take it lightly. It's very, very deep work because people are working on some very serious things, and your people are working on their lives, which is the most important thing. So it's just very, very humbling. There's typically, the one thing with being a Iboga provider is you got to get used to not sleeping a whole lot, because whenever people are here for their 7 nights, 8 days, at least 2 of those nights, during ceremony, we stay up with them all throughout the night and into the morning without sleep. And then somebody else will typically start taking over in the morning time. So there's some adjustments to be made, and you learn how to get by on a little less sleep. But one thing with Iboga is when you've had it, you go into REM sleep quicker, so you start recovering quicker. So if you're used to sleeping 8 hours, you may only have to sleep 6 hours afterwards and still feel refreshed like you slept 8 hours. But being a Iboga provider is really the greatest honor, and I really can't see myself ever doing anything else. It's some of the most important work I can see happening out there, just because we're really dealing with some deep stuff with people's lives, and just really humbled to be able to do it.
So, Levi, besides the normal wear and tear of living a life, what do you think is the greatest challenge facing people today that may be developing an addiction?
The greatest challenge, that really, I would have to say it's the lack of options out there. If you look at, say, most of the options out there for the different addictions, say besides drugs, are 12-step programs. And, a lot of people really get a lot out of that, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But I do know it involves getting together and recounting your story over and over, and basically, stating that you're an addict and you're powerless for the rest of your life to get over that. And that can help a lot of people, but I don't see it as that way. I don't think people, once they've been an addict, have to continue to identify as an addict for the rest of their life. So I think the lack of options out there, and not enough people knowing about Iboga for addiction is definitely a challenge, and that's kind of the point of getting together with you, is to try and spread that awareness. In the case of opiate addicts, it's even worse. Typically, what they want to do for opiate addicts is just switch them to legal opiates, something like Suboxone or methadone, which are actually quite a bit harder to get off of than something like heroin or Oxycontin or any of those other opiates out there, and keep them on that for the rest of their life, and it wreaks havoc on their mind, and it's very difficult to get away from. So I think the options for different addictions out there are very, very limited, and that's why we see the success rates not very high. I think in traditional rehabs, the success rate for a drug addict is like 5% on a good day, and for opiate addicts it might be 1 to 3%. And I know for opiate addicts, and some of them, I have a friend that works or did work at a different Ibogaine clinic, and I know they would have success rates of 40 to 60% after 2 years, which is almost 20 times higher than traditional rehab facilities. So yeah, I think there's really a lack of options. I'm glad to see that the U.S. government is looking into something like Ibogaine, because I think you need the experience of seeing you hurt yourself and having that experience and showing you that there's another way for you to live life without drugs, and actually, with the medicine itself, you come out the other side and you start feeling good after a week or so, whereas without the medicine, it could be months before you start feeling like yourself again. So I think we're moving in the right direction. There's definitely more interest in different plant medicines and different healing modalities out there, and I think it's going to continue growing. But it's still in its infancy.
So my final question to you, actually I have one more, but do the Iboga Wellness Center step in when people are close to rock bottom, or is there some sort of prevention service as well, like a hotline maybe?
Yeah, definitely. We've definitely, ourselves, we've definitely had people come for free, or we've had some people come for addiction and they just needed more time. We've had a couple of people come down for a retreat and end up staying with us for a month and a half, just because we know they needed more, and so we wouldn't charge them for that. Obviously, we need to keep the lights on and keep going, but so we have options, for the paying customers, that they can help support some of the people that maybe can't afford it. And so we definitely help as many people at all as we can. And we're not here to get rich by any means by doing this. And so we recommend people get in touch, and we'll go through every possibility for them to get the help and the healing that they need.
Definitely. Final question to you, Levi. What type of things do people come to Iboga Wellness Center to work on?
Yeah, as I mentioned some earlier, definitely different traumas, sexual trauma, or like PTSD. Like I mentioned, some soldiers go out there, eating disorders. The biggest one that a lot of people suffer from, and also suffer from a lot of other things, is different types of depression or anxiety. So we get a lot of people coming in for that. One thing that people that have depression or anxiety, they have to stop any medication that they're taking for at least a couple weeks, or depending on the medication, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. So that's one that accompanies a lot of people coming in, and the reason they're taking that medicine is because of different, that prescription medication is because of different traumas or different things that have happened in their lives. people, like I mentioned, a lot of entrepreneurs come. We get a lot of spiritual seekers coming that just want to improve their life and continue on their spiritual path and keep improving and keep growing from the medicine. What else? Of course, people that want to stop drugs. Mm-hmm. But I would say that's the main groups that come in. People looking to better their lives, addictions, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and different traumas.
Alrighty. Well, Levi, since this is a pre-recorded show, this part will be optional for you. But after the music break, it'll be time for our usual tradition. It is called the hot seat, and it's like almost the most important part of our show. Not sure what the interview is, but our fans love this part of the segment, of course, along with the actual interview. But the audience get a chance to hear. Maybe you can sing, maybe you do poetry, inspirational speeches, spoken word, freestyle raps, jokes, stories, even live instruments. Where you never know if these creative minds and vessels we're producing the spotlight today. We'll find out if you have what it takes to be put on the spot, a test of your true artistry. But right now, we're going to get into some the bwitti-music. And we'll be right back.
Do.
Dina, I got no wakenda. And I'm yaki tikiliawe. Yaki daginawe. Iban sindori vedenewe. Iban sindori vedene. Do flama dori vedenewe. Kakafudu dori vedene. Bibi, no bonye dingowe, bibi, no banizawo. Ibas, dari vedene, Brazina, dari vedene. Kukuk, dari vedene, kukuk, dari vedene. Rodi, nenyonga manye. Jezan, dabali denewe, jezan, dari vedene. Ayya, edingo, areponyorema. Adina, awaya tendigo. Adina usabina minyomba yako. Bibi, dari vedene, bibi, dari vedene. Kanguna, akumuna, imbolo. Kakpiti ndori vedelewe, kombel nenyonga mani. Ajua, unome nowe, utumbi na mie, anini mami, avelo mia kurema. Akakosinga, mbolo gogo wawe akendi. Ama muanga. Akakosoga, akareka, nyunga myogorema, yakipikilianwe, nono mbubako kakubaku.
All right, and we are back. That was some, I can't, every time I get ready to say this word, it just comes out wrong. bwitti-music. All right. Levi's going to have to correct me on that one. Okay, so listen, do you ever consider that you might be wrong? Do you ever question your assumptions? What's so great about being right anyway? And what's so terrible about being wrong? There are many valuable ideas and approaches that are not yours. Unfortunately, to perpetuate, yeah, there we go, your own sense of being right, you sometimes ignore the perfectly useful perspectives of others. Always being right will earn you a little more than resentment. It creates barriers and inhibits communications. Discard the attachment to being right, and you'll open up enormous new vistas in your thinking and perception. What if you actually listen to people without trying to figure out how to prove them wrong? Think of what you could learn, of how you could benefit from the experience and perspective of others. You'll come closer to the truth when you let go of the need to be right. Take that from me, Dini. That is my word, and word is bond. Let's bring back the man of the moment, Levi. You're back live with us. Well, not live, but you're back with us and in our hot seat. Did you want to participate in that?
Not right now. I'm out where there's none of my tools around right now.
Mm-hmm. Are you a
musical
musician?
Instruments? Yeah. Actually, I was a musician for a bit in my 20s. Played in a bit of jazz in college and stuff, and then I'm definitely an aspiring bwitti musician. The instruments are pretty hard to play, but I'm learning.
Well, jazz itself is a bit much for me.
Yeah, it is. It was tough. I definitely wasn't one of the best ones in there. But yeah, really big love for music. Yeah, I really like the tunes leading up to the show as well.
Yeah, definitely. In my younger years, I was in a marching band throughout middle school, high school. And then I get to college, and they're like, "Okay, you want to try out jazz?" I'm like, "Yeah." Man, I get in there, I was like, I quit like the second day.
Yeah, it is tough. What did you play?
I played the trumpet.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, no, it's a different animal for sure.
Yes, indeed. And then I went into business. So I forget music.
Awesome. Yeah, I kind of did the same thing after a while.
Yep. Man, I definitely appreciate you, man. Before we go, let us have some links. I know they'll be in the description of the episode, but it's always good to hear them verbally as well.
Yeah. So iboga-wellness.com. Iboga is spelled Iboga. Iboga-wellness.com is our site. You can also type in Iboga Wellness on YouTube, and there's a lot of great testimonials on there throughout the years for people coming from all different backgrounds. So those are really great. We also have our Facebook page. If you just type in Iboga Wellness, you'll certainly see us there and be able to get some news. And there's sometimes when we have discounted retreats for certain months and things like that. And those would be the main three. And I just encourage anybody to get in touch that may want to learn more about Iboga or the program here in Costa Rica. It's just a very powerful week if you want to improve your life and move forward. It's just a very powerful tool.
Definitely. Yes, sir. And like I said, guys, when you get this episode, the links will be in the description of this episode. No matter which podcast app you like to get our episodes from, the links will all be there, whether it's YouTube, iTunes, or Player FM, or Podcast Addict. No pun intended, that is an actual podcast app. It's a good one too. Yeah. Castbox, it'll be all available right there at your fingertips. Made it so easy. Once again, Mr. Levi Parker, I definitely appreciate you for being my guest this afternoon and educating me on Iboga. It's great stuff.
Yeah. No, thank you for having me on and helping get the word out about Iboga. Definitely very appreciative, and great job. It's great having this opportunity with you, and wish you all the best going forward.
Definitely. Levi, before we leave, I do want to extend an invitation. We actually have another show called Skeptics, and this one is unscripted, maybe more up your alley.
Okay.
And we just talk about all kind of things under the sun and under the moon. So I think Iboga should be a topic maybe one day that we can dive in deep and not have to stick to formalities, you know?
Absolutely. No, that'd be awesome. Let's do it. Do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. Have a good one.
Thank you, my Vigilantes family, as always, for checking out my podcast over here at Vigilantes Radio. All episodes are available for free download, and you can grab that from either Spreaker.com/only1media group, iTunes, YouTube, any app that's on a Google Play or iTunes store, or our website, and that goes from every single episode that we've ever aired. If you'd like to request music or a particular guest or send something for me to play, email it to vradio@only1mediagroup.com. If it's music, please label it by artist and title. Here's my disclaimer. We are genre-free, we do not judge, and we absolutely do not base our opinions on hearsay, but facts alone. And actually, you can scratch all of that because all of my opinions are always right. That's the bottom line. This is my show, so deal with it. Nah, just kidding. On behalf of myself, Dini Mussolini, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, either afterwards or live with us. Spread the word, because sharing is caring. We stepped up our game just for you guys and our guests to make sure that you have the best experience here on our show. Be sure to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, as well as Spreaker. We always follow back. That is the number one rule. Okay, well, just remember to be yourself and be absolutely great at just doing that. Avoid being too comfortable, because you're messing with your potential when you do that. Peace, and have a good night.
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, the people's choice for quality interviews, art, music, and hot topics. Hosted by Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds of the duo No Longer the Hero. All episodes of this podcast are available for free download at www.onlyonemediagroup.com. This is a Seventh Sign Regime Rebirth Worldwide Syndicate exclusive.